welcome to this special episode of Beyond the Headlines. My name is Azaria Tagaya. Now, for most of us, earning a salary from a 9-to-5 job is the norm. It provides a secure income and also some extra benefits as well, such as healthcare insurance and also some paid vacations. But with the increasingly popular gig economy, earning extra income has now become more accessible and easier for a lot of people to achieve. Now, whether you're looking to support your primary income or you're looking to save up for a specific goal, there are now so many options for you to choose from. And if you're just starting to wonder how and where can I start, well, wonder no more, because today we are delving into the topic of side hustles and trying to find out maybe how you can earn some extra moolah. So in the studio with us today, I am joined by financial guru Casey Lau, who you might also know from Instagram and YouTube's Casey Lau Money. Hi Casey, welcome to the show.
Hello, Azaria. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you. It's our pleasure to have you here. And next to Casey, we have from Areca Capital, Mr. Peter Lim Z Cheng. Hi Peter, thank you for being on Beyond the Headlines.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you both here to talk about today's topic, side hustles. But before we delve deeper into the topic, I think why don't we start by learning from the experiences of both of our guests. Maybe we will start with you, Peter. What are some of the side hustles that you've engaged in throughout the years? And maybe you can share with us some of the more interesting ones.
Well, you can see that age, I'm not from the young generation, right? Quite old. So those times, the side hustles are quite a common one, like multi-level marketings, insurance. But of course now, with all the new gig economies, you have a lot of other options. Like for instance, food deliveries, Grab drivers, and even some content creators. Many of those. Yeah. So definitely the new hustles are definitely much more interesting than the options that we have during my era.
I see. So what are some of the more interesting ones that stand out for you that you've done before?
Well, I would say
too many to mention?
Quite some, but again, I wouldn't say it's really interesting. But I think one of those that I technically did the longest was actually insurance.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay.
I think I did it for at least 4 or 5 years. Yeah.
So you say not so interesting. I guess you're saying that people these days have a lot more to choose from in terms of side hustles.
Yes.
All right, wonderful. What about you, Casey? What have your experiences been like?
Oh, when talking about side hustles, I actually did many, and in fact, I did like 3 career changes in my life, and all started from side hustle.
Oh.
Yeah, I studied aeronautical engineering.
Wow.
So when I was in the university, I teach piano, during weekend. And then when I graduated, I actually become a full-time musician. I do music full-time.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
So that stems from your passion?
Yeah, stem from my interest. I like to write songs, I perform and sing in a cafe. So I got a gig at the hotel, 5-star hotel, that paid me a few thousand ringgit a month at that time. So it was like on par with engineers' pay. So it become my full-time job, right? So it's side hustle become full-time. And then when I moved to Penang, I did a side hustle selling insurance as well, same as Peter.
Yeah.
So during daytime I sell insurance, and nighttime I do perform, and do some music production. And eventually, when I have kid, and I do the side hustle become full-time career for me, like
Wow.
being a financial planner. So eventually I did like unit trust, everything. So during that few years also, I started a blog on the side, so something on the internet. So and then the blog eventually also became a full-time business. So eventually I just left the insurance industry, no more selling financial products, and do the online business full-time.
Full-time.
Until
And now
now.
you're venturing into Instagram and YouTube as well with
Still
your
full-time,
money
right?
tips. Well, with your experiences, it sounds like you've done a lot of things, and it's very diverse. Like
Yeah.
a little bit of music, a little bit of insurance, some aeronautical stuff in there, a good mix. So I think maybe you can share with us about my next question now. A lot of people, I'm sure, who are listening in or who are watching right now are thinking like, I know what I want to do. I have this passion aside from my full-time job, so I want to do a side hustle. I want to earn extra money. But they're always thinking like, okay, maybe I'll start tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and then they're thinking, maybe I'll think about it a few more days more and then I'll go into it. So I think I speak for many of us when I say that often the first step is always the hardest. So based on your experiences, how do you know which side hustle is the right one to get into?
Me first?
Yes.
Okay. I would say, for how I pick my side hustle is that I start with mainly the two areas. So one is probably something you're interested in, so you're passionate about. So like for me, of course, when I study aeronautical engineering, I like to play music. So it's like something I like. If people can pay me to go and perform, pay me to do music arrangement, of course I would like to do that. So it's something that of interest for you, so that you can persist, you can find fun to do that, and you can do it for a long time, so that you can get success out of it. Or the second one will be your area of expertise. So it's either you are interested in about, or the thing that you're good about. You're good at doing that. So for my example, I'm not actually good at writing. But eventually the blog turned out to make me a better writer, I guess.
How did that work out? Did you learn from other people or did you learn on the job?
I learned on the job, basically. So I learned, try to be better writers. And now it's so easy, right? You have ChatGPT right now.
Yeah, they can do your job for you.
Yes, they do much better job than me right now.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Now, Peter, I guess picking up from where Casey said just now, what you're good at isn't necessarily your passion, and what your passion isn't necessarily what you're good at. So what would be your tips to take the first step into engaging in a side hustle aside from your full-time job?
Well, I guess you cannot avoid. I think that's a very good point, right? Being what you're passionate about and what you're good at, I think both very, very different, right? I'll still stick to that. Whatever side hustle you want to do, it better be something you're passionate about. I give my example, right? As mentioned, I was in insurance industry, right? It's a very good example of being passionate and being good about, which is being totally different thing.
Yeah.
I was very passionate about the insurance because I really wanted people to have the protection. That's something I'm very passionate about. But it turns out I was a very bad insurance salesperson. Right, because what happened is technically my approach to clients, I always sell them something they need at the cheapest cost possible to them, because that's my passion. But because of this, I turned out to be a very bad insurance salesperson, because I never met any target in the last 5 years. In the 5 years of industry, I have never won any awards. I never met any monthly target. Right, so it come to the end, I left in that sense. So, well. It really depends when you choose a side hustle, what is it that you want? If income is your main primary motivation, right? To a certain extent, you may have to give up the passion. But if something that, I just want some side income, but at the same time, I don't want to compromise on what I like to do, then passion comes first. But if you're in a very, very rare, lucky person where you can really get both together, it is my passion and I'm really also very good at it, you hit the jackpot.
Yeah, then why not?
Yeah.
Okay, so, either of you gentlemen can take this question. What would be like the main skills or traits needed in a person to be able to manage your side hustle successfully? Because you also have your full-time job, you also have your personal life. What would be your tips? Who would like to take this?
You don't want to go first?
Yeah, my take would be discipline. You must be able to draw a clear line when you're executing your main job responsibility and when you're doing your side hustles, right? I think to me that is very, very important. You don't want to have a situation where you're so engrossed in your side hustle that it started affecting your job or the performance while you're doing your day-to-day job in that sense.
All right. What about you, Casey? Now, the work-life balance can actually be very tricky. So how can you balance between you have your 9-to-5 job, you have your side hustle, and then you also have your personal life as well, family and friends?
Time management, right? Yeah, it's when So when you talk about time management, well, everyone have the same limited resources. We have 24 hours a day, but it depends on how you use that time, right? People like to maybe spend 2-3 hours for entertainment, 2-3 hours for family, 2-3 hours for health reason. And if you want to start a side hustle, basically you have to sacrifice some of those.
Yeah.
Definitely. So time management is very important. You have to carve out your time, block it. Like for example, when like Peter and I, when we start to sell insurance, of course we have to block our lunch, right? Lunchtime. You have to do some sales during lunchtime.
Have some meetings.
Yes, have some meeting. And then nighttime you have to do that as well. And weekend, when your clients are not working on their active job, so they can have time to listen to you. So time management is very important.
All right, amazing.
Have a good schedule.
Now, I think what we've established so far is that some people do their side hustles because of their passion, and some people do it because they need extra income. So now let's go into the financial aspect of it. For people who are engaged in side hustles, what would be the best way to manage the extra income that is now coming in? Who would like to take this? Peter, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I would say, I think okay, it sounds not very ironic. I would say comparatively, earning income is the easier part. Saving the income is the tougher part.
Exactly,
Right?
yes.
You can earn a lot of hustle, a lot of side income job, but if you don't know really how to keep the money, right, all will go back to zero. And
Yeah.
then what's going to happen is you end up going to get more and more hustling job to sustain your expenditure or your lifestyle. Yeah.
Okay, what about you, Casey?
And I would think because when you do a side hustle, basically you use up your time to make more money. And when you do that, also you use up your time that is used to spend money. Now you are using it to make money. So basically it's a two positive, right?
Yeah,
You're making more money and you have less time to spend money. So eventually you should have more money. And when you have that money, of course, if you don't have any investment knowledge, I think the easiest to start might be the pool investment type, like unit trust. So ASM is a very good choice to start with. Fixed price, you have very low risk, and even many other unit trusts. That's like ETF. You can always start with that. Simple
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I can't agree with you gentlemen more, because I think it's best to invest in ourselves first, because it's a way for us to sort of appreciate ourselves.
Now, as per ASNB, what's more interesting was the unveiling of their new logo during the launching ceremony of Minggu Saham Amanah Malaysia MSAM.
And the way I see it, this logo is actually more refreshing and more outgoing. And I believe that this actually represents their new way of doing things. But I trust that they will still uplift the financial lives of Malaysians across generations. Well, gentlemen, we've had so much to talk about so far, but it's time for us to take a short breather. We'll be back after this with Beyond the Headlines. Okay, gentlemen, coming back to our conversation about side hustles. We actually talked about this a little bit during the break. How do you know that a side hustle is going to be profitable and give you the most returns even before you start going into it? Casey, we'll start with you.
Very good question. So I was asked many times, in fact, from my readers and my followers. So I can give you some so-called tips, some guideline that you can do that. So maybe you can think of two things. Your product or your service or the things you want to do, they have two things. One is the demand. So is it high demand or low demand, right? And the other one is the pricing. The things you are selling, is it high price or is it low price? So there are 4 quadrants.
Yeah.
So of course, if you want to make the best profit, you have to go for thing that is high demand and high price. So you can sell a lot and it's expensive.
Yeah.
For example, like the iPhones, right? So things like that. Or you can think of another extreme will be like it is no demand and you can only sell it cheaply, then there's no profit margin to be made. So if your idea is in that area, scrap it, please throw it away, don't do. Or you can also find success in the other 3 areas, right? Of course, the best one is high demand, high price. Or high demand, low price is okay. Like for example, the book Rich Dad Poor Dad sells so many millions copy. Although it's one book's like 30 ringgit, right? But it can sell a lot. You can still make a lot of money from there. or you can do the thing that is very expensive but not many people can buy. For example, like MS Birkin bag, things like that. So if like in my business will be like doing consulting, so I can charge like one customer maybe 5 figures, but I have to give him personalized advice do things like that. So this is the thing you can before you start, you have to think of your market or your service, your products, where does it belong to, and try to find a right fit to start, right? And then the second thing is, before you even sell your thing, you can always do we call MVP, minimum viable product. Like for example, what I like to do for my business is that when I think of an idea I want to do, I start selling first. I don't even come up with the product yet. So I start selling, I test it out, and then there are people paying money already. So I'm saying, okay, these things people like, people really, my readers like it. Then okay, I promise, okay, I'm going to come up with the modules. I'm going to teach you about this thing. So yeah, you start selling before you create a product.
That's actually taking a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, sometimes people don't like or there's no response, then you can just scrap it.
Okay,
You can
so
return the money even. Let's say I'm aiming for, like, let's say I want to have 20 customers before I start, but maybe 1 or 2 just bought it, and then I'll say, okay, never mind, I scrapped the idea, so I'll refund your money.
I see. So basically some research, some R&D before you actually get into it.
Yes.
What about you, Peter? What do you think is the best way to ensure returns and how to see your side hustle is profitable or not?
My thing is, it really depends on what kind of side hustling you're talking about, right? If you just generally put into 2 categories, right? One are those side hustling where you don't need capital. Like for instance, like your insurance, multi-level marketings, deliveries, etc. Right? So those are easier to have profit expectation because there's really no capital involved in the first place.
Yeah.
But the other type of side hustling involves some capital. Let's say, for instance, setting up burger Ramly stall, for instance, right? You need to really count, okay, what's the cost when you sell a stall? Where's my location? Where going to be? What is the average burgers I'm able to sell per night? And then with some calculation, then roughly know whether will be a profitable venture or not. So yeah, that's my take. Really depending on what kind of hustling ventures you're talking about.
I see. All right. What would be your tips for people who are maybe watching right now and thinking, yeah, I think I know what I want to get into. I have a side hustle that I'm passionate about, but maybe they're hesitant to do so. They haven't started and they don't know when they're going to start. What would be your tips to people who are hesitant to go into starting a side hustle?
Well, there's a saying that goes, right? If you want to do something, don't think, just do it. The more you think, the more you will do it.
What about you, Casey?
I absolutely agree with Peter. So that's what happened to me, right? So every time I think of something as a side hustle, I actually just do it. And you make sure you do it as early as you can. Like for example, you want to do something when you're in your 20s, you do it, and in your 20s, you don't wait until your 30s, you do it.
Yeah.
Because when your commitment builds up, it becomes even more difficult to just take the first step, because not only you put yourself on the line, you also put your family together. If you suffer, they have to suffer together. So it's a very hard decision to make.
Okay.
So do it early.
Okay, so you mentioned just now that you need to do some research before you engage in a side hustle.
Yeah.
So we know that that's important for one, but what about a business plan? Is a business plan essential for a side hustle?
Yeah, business plan, it is something good to have, but it's not a must-have, I would say. Because when you write things on paper, it can be all the stars and the moons, and then when you start doing it, then you start to realize that you're actually on Earth. So thousands of problems will actually pop up from nowhere, and you still have to course correct, and then your business plan become used to be plan A, and then now it suddenly shift to become like plan E or something. Not even B or C, D.
What about you, Peter? What do you think?
I'll say I think I'll say business plan is pretty important. Let's take even like a Grab driver, for instance, right?
Yeah.
There's also involved business plan. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll be surprised. I say, for instance, if I'm a Grab driver, I need to make up my mind. What is my strategy? Maybe my strategy would be I won't go for those long distance drive. I'll just focus on those very short distance drive where I can just collect a lot of customers and and collectively become a sizable amount. Or I may have a business plan where I don't want to do short distance drive. I want to do a long distance drive, right? Burger Ramly store back to that, right? You also need a business plan.
Yeah.
Where do I want to position myself? Where are the crowd? Am I competing with any other existing stores nearby will actually take away the volume, etc. So I would say it's critical, but the thing is, whatever initial business plan you have, it may not work accordingly to what you wanted in the end, but you must be flexible enough to constantly adjust your business plan as you start going into it.
Okay. What about networking? How important is your networking in order to ensure the success of a side hustle? Or does that also depend on the type of side hustle that you're engaged in?
Yes. Okay. I'm a very bad networking guy. We were talking about it just now, right? About selling yourself.
Me too.
I'm very bad at selling myself. So it really depends on how good is really your product. Honestly, if your product is really, really good, you don't really need that networking because people will come to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, networking. I mean, human capital in this case, right? Is it will help you give you the initial push, which is very important, right? If you want to start a business, at least you have some people. Maybe some of them are your mentors. When you have problem, they can help you, or most of them can be your customers. So, for example, like you're selling insurance, if you have a good network, right, you have built the trust all along the way during the past years when you are working together on other job. But suddenly, when you sell insurance, they know you are a person that they can trust. That's why they put their money with you. But if you didn't build up that capital before, it's very, very hard for you to even start any kind of business, right?
Indeed, indeed. I
yes.
couldn't agree more with you, gentlemen. Well, recently, our reporter, Lukman Hakim, actually went out and spoke to some people to find out what they think about earning extra income and whether they are engaged in any side hustles. So let's check out what they had to say.
I'm an economy executive as my full-time job, and then I do sometimes I do pre-love item. Actually, it's good for me to top up my current my primary work, and then I also find it very interesting and enjoy the process because when I got extra income, then I very happy.
Actually keperluan lah when you live in bandar, you need to ada extra income jugalah to help kita punya cost of living kan. Because bandar actually ramai yang ada miskin bandar actually. So to support my husband also. So itulah I got to do something that yang boleh mendatangkan income and to support my husband juga.
Bagi saya benda tu, kalau bagi saya sekarang ni benda tu perlulah. Sebab sekarang ni kita hidup dekat dalam keadaan yang ekonomi yang tak berapa baik. Jadinya satu kerja tu tak mencukupi. Jadinya kalau boleh kita buat extra income, tak kisahlah kita buat apa, kerja Grab ke ataupun kita buat side income dari segi kita buat business ke, dia tu perlu. Sebab sekarang ni orang nak tengok harga minyak pun dah naik. Nak survive sehari pun payah. Nak makan pun sekarang ni dekat mamak pun sehari dah RM12 lebih kurang macam tu. Jadinya side income tu benda yang kalau sekarang ni benda yang wajib.
I think it's very common because nowadays I don't think anyone can rely on single income. Most importantly is financial stability and also security as well. So even though maybe like one job is enough, but it's not enough to save, especially for emergency. If anything happens, we need that extra income. You never know. Okay, we have our sunny days, but suddenly it's like storming, and we just need a little bit of extra protection. Yeah, so it's actually very, very important.
Right now, he's studying at college.
Oh, okay.
And then this is my part-time job lah.
So you're a student currently?
Yeah.
So, what is your opinion on doing extra income or doing extra work?
If sometime, right, if I want to spend with my friend, I need to ask my parents for money. But I think it's not nice lah. So if I work for myself, I can spend my money without worry about my parents spending on me.
If ada peluang, of course I will do. But now memang ada another things that I do. But sambil-sambil lah. Which one is mana yang bagus dan yang mana yang cepat. Sekali I buat dua-dua. Actually.
Jadi sekarang ni saya nak mendalami dulu dalam bidang perniagaan. Dan mungkin insyaAllah tahun depan, sebab saya baru start, saya nak tengok dulu macam mana saya boleh go tak dunia perniagaan. Jadinya tahun depan saya nak bagi lagi stable. Saya buat business ni secara part time dan full time saya akan bekerja juga macam biasa.
I think it's very important when we have a little bit extra, don't get overexcited. Make sure you put it in a safe place first because you really don't know when you'll need to use it.
It's tiring, but it's worth it lah. When you can spend some outside of the house, later you worry, the parents worrying about you spending their money.
How do you
Study is like Monday to Thursday, Wednesday, and then the other Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday I come part-time job. So I balance it lah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I had no idea that people so young these days are already having so much to do on the side. And that's really encouraging to hear that they know so much about earning extra income and also saving for their future. Now, of course, with all that hard work put into that extra income, one thing that I'm sure everyone should be doing now is to secure their money and put it into savings and perhaps invest in something that can give you more returns in the future. You know, sort of like saving your money for a rainy day. Now, the last thing you want to happen is to spend it all without planning for the future, especially for an emergency when you least expect it. So knowing how to manage your earnings here is key, and in many cases, people seem to fail to do so. Now, I have some info right here. In fact, according to the Financial Education Network, FE Network, over half of Malaysians struggle to raise emergency funds of 1,000 ringgit or more, and it's also been found that only a quarter, or 24%, are able to sustain living expenses for at least 3 months if they lose their main source of income. Now, from what you can share, gentlemen, what do you think? Why do you think this happens? Like, even for those who have a side income, and what can they do to actually overcome this and manage their funds more effectively? Casey, let's start with you.
Wow. This come back to like money management, right? So
Yeah.
basically, you know, I've been in financial education for more than a decade doing this kind of programs. And there are just 3 things that we have to look at. So the first is how can you increase more income? So that's the I part, income. And then the second one is when you make the income, how much can you actually put aside for your future? So that's the saving parts. So if you can tackle these 2, basically you are halfway there, like more than halfway there. And then, but when you have this money and then you don't know what to do with it, and then you just keep it in the bank, you know, earning low interest, it will be eaten by inflation. So the silent killer. And of course, the next thing I'm talking about is the R, which is the return. You have to know how to invest and make more money.
Yeah.
So of course, the third part, a lot of people actually ignore that until sometimes it's too late. You know, when you retire, only you think about that. Sometimes people don't have investment skills, so that's very hard. If you don't know how to start, I think the easiest would be ASN, ASB, ASM, you know, very low risk, can help you to accumulate your money while you learn how to invest. And when we talk about investment, I think Peter, who is a fund manager, might be a better person to tell you more about that.
Yeah, Peter, what do you think? What do you think about these statistics?
Yeah, I think it's an unfortunate truth, right? I mean, that's the reality.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest challenge now is a lot of people assume when I talk about investments, right? I need to have huge capital. Right?
Yeah.
Then they'll say, okay, yeah, I will invest, but no, let me save up to 5,000 first or 10,000 first before I invest. I think that mindset needs to change, right? I think people need to realize when I talk about investment, we're not talking about you must have thousands before you invest. You can even invest when there's a few hundreds.
Yes.
So I think things like Amanah Saham actually is very good. Actually allows people to actually start exposing themselves to investments without needing a big capital outlay. The biggest challenge, again, back to this, starting. I think with this kind of, we should start or investing even with any little money, be it 100 ringgit, starting. No, we just need to start. And not to say, okay, I will only start investing when it comes to 1,000 ringgit or 2,000 ringgit, right? If you go by that, honestly, it will never happen. Just as I said, right? Spending money is easier than making money.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it all comes down to money management. It's not just about the value of the income that you get, but how you manage it is what matters most. Well, after hearing about the benefits of side hustling, I'm sure you're eager to jump on the bandwagon. But remember, no matter how many side hustles you take on or how hard you work, even if you work from dawn till dusk, if you don't manage your money wisely, then you may never strengthen your finances finances, or let alone achieve financial freedom. So something that could be of great help to many of us in this is ASNB Academy, which focuses on assisting you with personal finance. This academy is available online and was developed by ASNB because they understand that we all need guidance to help manage our money wisely sometimes. So to learn more about the academy, visit the ASNB Academy website at asnbacademy.com.my and be sure to subscribe by simply submitting your email so that you always receive the latest updates about ASNB Academy. So make sure you do it right now, but not right away. Make sure you listen to the podcast until the end first because we have more tips to share with you. Now, so speaking about side hustles and getting more into our conversation, how do you see emerging trends in the gig economy or side hustle economy? It's been said that it's quick and fast. And if one thing does well for now, it doesn't stay that way for long. What do you think? Now, Peter, you seem to be deep in thought about this question. Something may be doing well for you. Something may be doing well for you right now, but if you engage in it right now, it might not be as popular in the coming years. What do you think?
No, I was thinking, that's interesting. You always hear people generally say, oh, gig economy is like, it's fast. But at the same time, I think a lot of people don't recognize the effort behind. I mean, just look at those even content creators, right? You make easy money, but people don't look at the effort behind to stay relevant, to continue getting that eyeball, that interest, right? So, with all this gig economy, yes, it's fast, but at the same time, if you don't put in your effort to continue make yourself relevant with good contents, with getting people interested in what you're saying, I think as fast as it goes up, you can also as fast as you lose that.
I think that's a good point to actually move from as I go to you, Casey. How do you see the gig economy trend actually evolving in the years to come? And how can you make sure that your side hustle now will continue to be relevant in the years to come? I think it applies more to you because you're in the YouTube and Instagram business. So in a few years now, content creation, as Peter said, is really gaining traction. But in a few years, we don't know where it's going to go and how it's going to be during that time. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, you're right. So I am actually a good example because when I started the blog was back in 2006, right? 2006. At that time, because the internet bandwidth doesn't allow video, even HD picture, it takes a long time to load.
Yeah.
So people have to read, right?
Yeah.
That's why blog is getting traction that time. So I actually, luckily, fortunately, caught the bandwagon, right? So got some readership out of my blogs, although I'm a bad writer, right? And then
I don't believe that.
I improved, and then after a while, then it came YouTube, then you have Instagram. So in fact, I didn't spend more time on YouTube, so I'm not famous in YouTube, right? But I have some old video which is like badly done, still maybe more than 10,000 views or something, right? But it's just because of the right timing. So back to the question, when you move from one platform to one platform, there will be something trendy come up, and then maybe in the future you don't have that anymore. So you just keep changing. The landscape keep changing. So of course you have to keep informed. And if you want me to give you a guide on what to do, is that when you are popular as a digital content creator on certain platform, you have to have ways to turn your followers into your customers. So for example, I can give you an example, is that when I write a blog, if I still write a blog and I do nothing on the blog and I just pull up ads and let people click, now I'll be out of job. I cannot earn money from there. So I'll be going back to selling insurance. So what I did right is that I built an email subscriber list. So people come so that I can contact them, and then I have my own products. I sell my own products. So I don't have to depend on advertising revenue. So it's the same thing. If you want to build an audience on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, or wherever it is in the future, you have to know how to grab that free traffic, free eyeballs into your hands, put it into your pocket, build that customer list for yourself, your followers.
All right. Now, Peter, maybe I could ask you this question. What if people are unfortunate enough to perhaps lose their main income or lose their job, basically? How can you actually transition from your side hustle and then turning that into your main source of income? How can somebody manage that transition successfully? What would be your tips?
Well, I think it really depends on the side hustle that you are engaged in, right? What is the potential in the first place? Right, there are some side hustles where there is a certain limitation to how much you can earn, right? Even if you put from 9 to 5, I'm going to put full time to the side hustle. Maybe that's the limitation of how much you can earn, right? So the first question is, for you to successfully transition your side hustle into your main income, it really boils down to what side hustle is that? Is it something that's viable, that can actually transition to a full time, or is it something that it will still be a side hustle?
I see. All right. Wonderful. Now, Casey, we've talked a lot about the importance of side hustles and also earning extra income and managing this income wisely. So, for you and yourself, what would be your advice to people on how they can actually invest this extra income?
Investing. Okay. Okay. Of course, when you don't know how to invest, basically the easiest way to start is the pool investment fund. So unit trust, including the ASB, ASM, low risk, fixed price, capital protected, and then of course during that time you also want to increase your investment knowledge. You want to do better. Then when you have knowledge, then it is like driving, or it's like swimming. Before you jump into the pool or before you drive on the road, you have to get the license. You have to learn how to do that first.
Yeah.
And so before you do that, you engage people to do that. So through fund management, like Peter, who is a fund manager, right? You just give him the money to invest for you. Then get your own license. Learn how to drive, learn how to swim, learn how to invest. Then you can do it on yourself.
All right, wonderful. Casey and Peter, I couldn't agree more. I think it's not just about how you make the money, but also how you manage the money. And one of the best ways to do that is just to invest and save more for a rainy day for the future. And also, speaking about ASB, did you know that you can actually invest with as low as 10 ringgit now? And with the My ASNB app, you can also start investing right away as soon as you download the app from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store and start investing with as little as 10 ringgit. You can just start saving and see how your money grows for the future. Don't you think that's amazing?
Oh, fantastic. Because when we talk about investment, before we get to that, you have to have your emergency fund. So you have to save enough liquidity just to handle, whatever things that might happen on money. And when you need that money, you have to be capital protected, right? And ASB, ASM is a very good choice because they guarantee the price for you, very low risk, and even when you take it out, you don't lose the dividend as long as your money is in there for that period.
Yeah. What about you, Peter? What do you think?
No, actually, I totally what Casey mentioned, right? As I mentioned, the big thing is people assume that we can only invest once we have thousands and thousands of ringgit, right? But I think the beauty is more of the habit. If you allow a platform or an opportunity for people to invest little amount, even 10 ringgit, 20 ringgit, I think it cultivates the habit. And actually you can build a fund like what Casey mentioned, an emergency fund, which you may need it when you really need it.
All right. Amazing. Now, gentlemen, we are nearing the end of the show. We have just a few more minutes to go. But before we wrap, I'd like to have some final ideas from you, gentlemen, about side hustles and maybe some ideas for who are listening in or watching right now. What would you say would be the best long-term strategies? Because just now we talked about business plans and doing our R&D and stuff like that. What would be the long-term strategies to ensure that your side hustle is sustainable in the long run? Maybe we'll start with you.
Nice. I think this is very important when you want to pick a side hustle. You have to think very long term. So, because when you want to turn your side hustle into a full-time career, it has to have a career path, right? Like for example, like Peter just talked about Grab car driver, or you do Grab food.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how do you turn this kind of job, gig economy, into a long-term business? I don't know. for Grab car, maybe you have to like buy a few more cars and get more more Grab car driver, but
Hire other people to do the Grab
yeah,
driving
it's
for
very,
you.
very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, but some other gigs can be, right? For example, if you are starting, that's a very good example. In fact, I have a Korean teacher, so I learned Korean from this teacher, and I actually found her on Fiverr, Fiverr.com. So
The freelance app.
yeah, freelance website, right? Like
Yeah.
Upworks and Fiverr is very popular. So I engaged her, and then I went to 3 lessons, and then she actually converted me into her private student, right? So she convinced me, okay, do you want to continue this? And we take it off Fiverr, right? Then she started to build a career for herself, right? So she has some long-term students. So I've been studying with her like more than 3 years. And then I actually admire her lifestyle. She's a digital nomad. So her husband is doing drop shipping.
Oh.
So also gig economy, right? So e-commerce. And he sell like car accessories, like tester for cars, for like a mini computer or something. But they travel all over the world. They travel like more than 50 countries for the past few years. They just move around.
Yeah, that's a good tip actually, to have something that you can work from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, digital nomad. And then I don't know where they pay tax. I ask, you stay here 30 days, there 30 days, and where's your tax residency? So it's like non-resident on all the countries, and all the countries, so no tax paid. That's the purpose.
Delving into something that maybe we shouldn't get into right now. What about you, Peter? Some long-term strategies to sustain your side hustle?
I'll say it still boils down to 2 things. Effort and constant improvement. Right? I think most of the side hustle actually started off more as a hobby.
Yeah.
Right, so more of hobby, the dedication, the effort being put into it is like maybe so, right? But if you really want to make it to be something that's really sustainable in the long run, you cannot avoid effort. You really have put a lot of effort into it. And as I mentioned, the second part is constant improvement, right? And I think goes along, you constantly need to improve your offering, your business model, your services, etc., that to ensure it can sustain over the long term.
All right. Okay, one final question. We have time for one final question. I don't know which of you gentlemen will like to take this question, but it's about the legal side of having a side hustle. So what do you think is some of the legal considerations that should be made when engaging in a side hustle? I don't know who would like to take, or would you both like to go? We'll start with Peter first.
I guess it's, does it have any conflict with your main career? I think that's the most important part. Ethically, the last thing you want to do is to engage in the side hustle, which is in direct conflict with your main employment.
All right. What about you?
Yeah, good point. And then second one, if it passed that first test,
Yeah.
your employer is good with that, then of course it's a business. Although it's small, you just started, you have to register a business, and then you have to make sure that the things you sell are legal, and then if there's any licenses you need to take, you have to comply with that.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay, final question. This time I'm not lying. This is the final question. So, very briefly before we wrap, what would be your final tips to people who are watching right now and thinking about, okay, I'm going to start my side hustle tomorrow? What would be your tips to the listeners?
Yeah, maybe it's 2 stages. So the first is that when you want to do something, just try to do it, right? Because if you want to do something and then you want to do it fast and fail fast, so that you can pivot, you can change. And then the second thing is that when you know something is successful is when you use, because you're doing this as a part-time, and you make about half of the income of your full-time job. Then when that happens, you know, if you are putting more effort, you put 100% of your time, you are going to make back the income you will make on your full-time job. Then you can have more work-life balance instead of juggling so many jobs.
Work balance.
Work
So you
balance,
want work-life balance as opposed to that. What about you, Peter?
I think when it comes to the stage where you reach my age, right, I think your biggest regret...
Your 20s?
Almost there.
Go ahead.
Almost there. I think your biggest regret will be not failing, but not trying.
Yes. Okay. I think that's a great point for us to end on. And the most important thing is to manage your money and invest wisely for the future as well. Well, that's amazing, gentlemen. Now, we've almost come to the end of the show, but before we go, I'd like to take this opportunity to inform our viewers that you can win 100 ringgit that will be credited into your Touch and Go e-wallet by participating in the ASNB Academy trivia, which you can join by scanning this QR code, which is on your screen right now. So scan the ASNB Academy trivia QR code now for a chance to be one of the 5 lucky winners. So unfortunately, we've reached the end of today's program for Beyond the Headlines. There will, of course, be more like this to come, as in the next few months, together with our partner ASNB, we'll be bringing more personal financial and wealth planning tips, and we will again have more experts to share with you the best advice. As we conclude today's podcast session on side hustles, well, it's clear from our discussion today that there are many ways for us to earn extra income if you're open to exploring new opportunities and investing your time and effort. Now, a special thanks to our guests today, Mr. Casey Lau and Mr. Peter Lim, for joining us and shedding light on how to effectively choose and manage your side hustles, and also for sharing your personal experiences as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. And remember, for those of you watching, every side hustle starts with small, deliberate steps, and with dedication, it can lead to meaningful rewards. And the most important thing is managing the income wisely by investing for financial stability. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, this channel that you're watching right now, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode, and also subscribe to the ASNB Academy channel to strengthen your financial knowledge. Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and X at NST Online for more news and updates. And that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching Beyond the Headlines. I'm Azaria Tagaya, and until next time, it's bye for now.